Good morning everybody, and what a miserable morning it's been. The wind's been blowing, it is still blowing quite a bit, but what a miserable morning we've had. Rain, wind, cold, it's been horrible this morning. What I want to do is, being as this weather is rubbish, I want to get down the shed and I'm going to get started on this skimmer. I want to make a pond skimmer, so I'm going to go down there and get started on that. There's not a lot else we can do at the moment. It's too cold and too windy out here for a start, but I've got to pop out today because I'm having my second jab, would you believe. So I want to go get that out of the way this afternoon, but I do want to get started on this pond skimmer, so I shall be down there and we'll have a look at that. All my PP's come and my bits have come, so I can go get stuck in. So what I've done here to start with, I've got my sheet of PP, 1220 is it, by 600. I got several baskets and tried them, smaller ones and larger ones, and I've chosen this one because the holes on it aren't too fine. I don't want them too fine, else it's going to be doing the job that the filter is in there for, and it's going to be wanting emptying every day. So I've gone for the one with the bigger holes. It is the bigger basket as well, which will hold more. I did actually have a look at some round ones and some smaller ones. The holes on that aren't too bad, but this is a bigger volume. This is why I'm going for that, so it won't want emptying quite so much. So I'm going to go with the bigger square one. Starting from one corner, I've drawn out where roughly the shelf is going to be for this basket in the skimmer. And then I put the basket in the middle upside down. I drew round the corners and then joined the corners up with a straight edge, because some of these edges on here aren't 100% straight. Some of these do bend in a little tiny bit in the middle. I made sure it was in the centre all the way around. I've got 20mm in all the way around this. So now what I shall do, while it's still in a big sheet, I'm going to cut this centre out, use my jigsaw and cut the centre out, and then I can cut the actual shelf out. But while it's in a big lump like this, it's going to be easier to do. So I'm going to get that done first, and then we can go from there. I drew round on the outside of the basket, not the inside, the outside. So I've gone to the outside. So this should actually drop through this hole, is what I'm aiming for at the moment. So I'll get that cut out and then be back with you. Okay, so what I've done now is I've cut a second piece exactly the same size. I drew around this hole and then drew a line inside of it smaller than the first hole that we cut. Hopefully the basket should fit in there. The basket should then fit inside that all the way around and rest on that second shelf we've just cut. That's how it's going to fit inside the actual skimmer, so that the water will flow in and straight into the basket. Now what I have here, I've made the front panel of the skimmer. Mine is quite deep because mine's going to incorporate the pump actually in the skimmer. If you didn't want your pump in the skimmer, this would obviously be shallower, but mine's going to incorporate the pump down the bottom there. At the top I've cut out for the weir, this is where the water's going to flow in, and I've left a 25mm border all the way round. What I'm going to do is fix a water chute to that, so the water rides in over a chute. But that's the front panel, so now I'm going to get on with the actual water chute that brings water into the skimmer. Okay, now so what I've done is just cut a piece the same width. It was a offcut that I had, so I cut it the same width and I've made it so it's actually a border, 25mm border all the way around, so that is now a faceplate. So that will actually trap the pond liner between it, which will use a bit of sealer as well on it. We shall bolt it through, obviously, put some sealer in there and bolt it through all the way around, then cut the liner out where the actual weir is going to go. So the water is going to flow in from this way over the weir and into the basket. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to bend for the chute, the water chute that comes into the actual skimmer. Now what I've got here is, I do have a video earlier on how to build one of these. They're very easy to build and very simple. All it is 3 bits of ply with an SWG wire running in a alley channel, and they're for bending plastic basically. And all you do is just connect it to a 12 volt power supply. This SWG wire in the middle will get hot, and you have your piece. This is what we're going to be bending, just bear with me. This is what we're going to be bending. I've got it marked out where I want it bending for the actual inflow chute. That will go over the wire where the marks are, and as it heats up we hold this down and this one will actually lift up. So we've got to give it time to heat up first. Once it becomes pliable we shall just give it a bend. So I'll put it on the side so you can see just how things work. I don't know whether you'll see it, but that wire is now heating up. It's red hot. I've got my piece of PP over the red hot wire, dead on the line. So now we've just got to wait for it to heat that up so it gets pliable enough. This is 6mm, so it's quite thick stuff. So it might take a while just to heat it up. So that's just warming up nicely now. So we'll just make sure that's dead level. We'll just give it a try. It's not quite there. Just a little bit more. Now we'll try giving it a bend. Okay, so now we've got it bent. I'll switch that off, switch the heat off, so that now we can let it cool, but keeping it in that position, that's the main thing. Just let that cool down and then we'll bend the next one. Okay, this is the first one bent. As you can see, it makes a nice bend in it, and this will be fitting on here. Let's put it where you can see it. This will be fitting on here like so. So now we're going to bend this across here so it comes across this section of the weir. Make sure it's in the right place. Right, we'll put the heat back on and now start to bend this one. So we'll keep checking it so that we know when it's ready to go. Let's see if it'll go. No, we just want a little bit longer. Here we go. Oops. So holding it in position, just take it a little bit further than you want the 90-degree angle, because this will tend to spring back, this stuff. Now as it's cooling down we can start to get it where we want it. So it looks something like that. I'll try to show you the actual bend itself. That's the bend on the actual PP. Give you a good look at that. That is the actual bend that it makes. I hope I'm not studying too much light, but there we go. That is our box section made. All we've got to do now is just mark this and cut it to make sure that it actually fits the weir. So if we do fit that onto there, I hope you guys can see that. That's not a bad fit at all. That's a pretty good fit. So that's where we'll be fitting it. Now the depth of this inflowing chute depends on your situation for your skimmer. If you've got to go through a block wall, obviously you're going to have to make this about 9 inches to suit the block, and then your face plate will go on the end of that. So yours will have to be bent deeper. Right, I hope you guys can see that. I've got it clamped down. Now this is the weir, the bottom edge where the water's going to be running over. So that's the one you want level. That wants to be dead level with your chute. What I'm going to do now is get the tacking nozzle in the gun and we're going to tack it in place. Don't forget, if you tack it first and something is wrong, you can always cut the tack with a Stanley knife and do it again. Okay, that is the chute attached, as you can see. I will tidy these odd bits that's sticking up. Well, it's come off anyway, but it'll be going round and just giving it a tidy up. But that's it attached to the front of the skimmer. And there we go. So that's it. That's your chute welded to the faceplate. All where the weir is, all nice and level. That's the main thing, make sure that's level. Okay guys, what we're doing now is I'm going to try to bend the two sides and the back. Now I've never bent anything this big before, so we're going to see how we get on. I'm not sure how this will go. You're as wise as I am whether we can do it. We'll see how it goes anyway. The thing is, it is such a big sheet, it's the full length of the bender. We've got it on, we've got it heating up, let's just see how things go. Like I say, I've never done anything this big before, so it'll be a matter of just hoping for the best. Is it going to go? Yeah. Okay, we've got it bent, just let me switch it off. And always take it that little bit too far, and it should settle back into position. Make sure we're still tucked well under. Well, I have to say that went easier than I thought it would. I've just taken it that little bit more than the 90 degrees because they will want to spring back. There we go, that's holding at 90. I'm just going to leave it there for a moment. Not going to rush it, but I must say that went a lot easier than I thought it would. I'm very impressed with that. And then obviously we shall do the same with this one. So that's that one bent anyway. There we have it. That's the back and the two sides, like I say. Your front, the front will actually fit on there like so. So it's all coming together now. What I want to do is get the inside welded before I put this on. It might give me a little bit more room to get in there. So I think I'm going to put, wherever it is, here it is, I'm going to put this in first, what holds the basket. I'm going to fit that in there, because what I've actually done with this, inside obviously, but that'll fit sort of up to the front, but then I've left this room at the back because I want an overflow pipe to come through. That's the reason I've made it that little bit longer. If you don't want an overflow pipe, just finish it off dead level there. But depending on what size basket you use will depend on what size you want this. That will obviously go the other way up actually. That'll go in and in there like so. It's a job to hold it all together, but that will fit in there like that. And onto the front will come on like so. Can you see that? See if we can show you better. That will hold your basket and that way a little bit, and in there, like I say, that space at the back is to bring a pipe through so I can put an overflow in. What I'm going to do now is put the bulkhead in here. What I'm using is a 52mm hole cutter. It's a 1.5 inch 43mm bulkhead, and I'm going to drop it in here. This is for the overflow out. So I'm now going to put the hole in the side. And there we go. Be able to get our bulkhead in there. Get rid of all this muck. Now our bulkhead can go in the side there, and this will be for a pond overflow, just to keep the pond at the correct level basically, or stop it getting it too full if we get a lot of rain. So I'll just clean that up a bit and then get the bulkhead in there. Okay guys, that's the hole done. The hole cutter I use is slightly small, but I use a very large round file just to take it out, and it does make it a very tight fit. So it's a nice tight fit in there. So basically, first, whatever you do, when you're fitting any bulkhead is fit the rubber washer to the bulkhead first. You must put the rubber washer on the bulkhead first. If you put that in the hole, then put your rubber washer on, then your nut, it will leak because water seeps up the thread, and I promise you it will leak. So put your rubber washer on your bulkhead first, then you put your bulkhead into the hole. So if we slot the bulkhead in, nice tight fit, that's lovely. Make sure everything seats. It doesn't matter whether your bulkhead goes in that way or this way, as long as you put the actual rubber washer on the bulkhead or tank connector first. I did wipe the inside down, but make sure, because this plastic, it does attract bits. It does contain a lot of static, so all the dust and sawing bits and cutting bits that you create will stick to it, because it does seem to charge well with static electricity. So we've got the rubber washer on the bulkhead, we've put the bulkhead in from the inside. I'm having mine, you can put yours in from the outside, whichever you wish. The nut goes on. Tighten it up. Now tighten it as tight as you can by hand, and then I always give them a little tweak with a big pair of grips to make sure it's all the way. Just a little turn to make sure it's tight, and that's it. That's your bulkhead fitted, and there we go. That should be it. Should be all in and fitted. Let's give you a look in there, and that's your 90 overflow in and fitted, and that'll go to waste, to a soak away somewhere or wherever you want to take it, but that's your overflow pipe in and done. I've gone round the front, all the way round, inside and out, got it all tacked together. So now I'm going to weld the front on. One side, now I'm going to do the other. Same again. Put some heat into it. Well, the job so far, the front chute's in, as you know, the front face is in, that's all in and welded up, the basket's in, the overflow's in, so all that remains now is to fit the pump. We've got to fit the pump into the bottom, but I can't do that because I've run out of PP big enough to put a bottom in it. So I've got to wait for some more PP to come, we can get it finished off. But basically it's just the bottom to go in and then fit the pump. Quite pleased with it. It's a job to see because you guys aren't in the light. The light's not very good today, and it's a bit dusty, but there it is. That's the new skimmer. Oh, I've got the faceplate to go on yet. I forgot about that. Yeah, I can get the faceplate done. That's something I can do. So I'll put this to one side and get another faceplate made up. And there we go, the front plate's on. I've turned it round into the light so you guys can get a better view of it. That's the front plate all welded on. So now all I've got to do is just put that to it and drill my holes for the screws. This is so we can trap the liner. And there we go, that's the faceplate in position and ready to go. So it'll be a matter of just whipping that off, putting the pond liner between it seal in the face of this side, not this side. I'll show you that when I put it on, but you want to seal the actual skimmer itself and then put the liner in and then put the faceplate on and the screws in. A lot of people put the liner up, then seal the liner, then put this on. That is not the way to do it. You need to seal between this, the actual skimmer itself, and the pond liner. Then this plate goes on, then your screws in. But there you go. Well guys, the net's back on my pond. We've got a little bit of sunshine coming over the fence, but the day's nearly over now. It's gone 7 o'clock at night and I'm going to call it a day. That's brought us to the end of another video, but before you go, anybody that's interested, what I've done is keep a chart of what my heaters cost through this winter. So if anybody's interested, keep listening and I'll play it after this. I'll put it on the end of this video so that anybody that's interested can have a look and see what my heating costs for my pond were. But if you're not interested in it, thanks for being here anyway. It's always appreciated. To all you guys, I'll say cheerio, and to the rest of you that want to see the heating costs, what it's actually cost me to heat 2,500 gallons through this winter, which has been a bit of a long old winter to be honest, but I've got it all down there. I've kept a log of absolutely everything, so if you're interested, keep watching. Thanks to everybody, you all take care and happy ponding. Right, well we're up in my office and what I want to do is run through my heating costs. Just want to show you what sort of went on over the winter and what it cost me basically. So I'll bring them up. Now what I've done here, I'll just bring that up slightly so you can see what's going on. So what I've done is kept all the details of heating costs and everything through the winter. And we've got December right through till April, the end of April, but unfortunately I didn't realise we'd still be going after April, so I only made the chart fit April, but never mind. It'll give us some idea of what the costs were. As you can see, I've got the first week, the date, the cost, the pond temp that I kept the pond at, night and day temperatures, just to give us some idea of average temperatures, and that was the cost for the month. So if we look at December, looking into the first week, now this isn't a full week if I remember rightly. It wasn't quite a full week, and this is when I took the pond temp. It was at 9.2 when I got the heater and switched it on, and this was bringing it up to 15 degrees. So £6.4 to bring it up wasn't too bad at all, I thought. And the temperatures weren't brilliant. At night we was getting about +2 and only +6 during the day, so not too bad at all. £6 a week. Second week pretty much the same. We'd got the pond at 15. We did get down to freezing during the night and +6 again during the day. If you notice here, there's a trend as it's getting colder and colder through the night. But the last week of December, as you can see, 11.20. Now things really did change here. We kept the pond at 15. We got -4s and 5s during the night, but the thing was it didn't recoup during the day like up here. We got at the best +2, so we didn't gain anything during the day either. So the heater was working day and night to keep the pond at the 15 degrees. So now we move into January, and the trend carries on. As you can see, for the first 2 weeks, pond still at 15, -5, -4, and only 3 during the day. So heating costs remained about the same for them 3 weeks. And the week 7 into January, it did come down a little bit. Why I've got 16 there I don't know. That should have only been 15. It's probably a misprint on my behalf, but we're still at -5. But we had 4 days when we got to 12 centigrade during the day. Now that does help the heater out quite a lot, as you can see. It's helped the heater out. It's cost us a couple of quid less just for that getting to 12 degrees. And the next week pretty much the same, still at 15, but we was +4 at night, and we had 2 days where it got to +10 during the day, so it steadily brought it down a bit, and the heater's not quite working so hard. So moving into February, 823, that's not bad, but if you look again, we only got down to +4 at night and between 6 to 10 centigrade during the day, so it took a lot of weight off the heater. But then we had the cold came back in week 10 on the 12th, and I actually dropped the pond to 14 degrees to see if it would make any difference. As a little bit of an experiment, I dropped it 1 degree just to see if it saves any money, but obviously it was negligible. It really didn't do much. If you look here where we got a -5 at night, we was around the £11, £9.54 there, but here 12.29, and we was running 14 degrees there, but it was -5 at night and only 2 during the day. You see, that daytime temperature does make a difference. Anyway, carrying on in February, we got the next week pretty much the same, to be quite honest. We got -6 at night, 2 centigrade for 5 nights, but -6 for a couple of nights, so the heater will have been working that a little bit harder. And we had 4 days where it only got to 2 during the day, and we did have 2 warm days where it got to 10 degrees. But the last week of February, 393, and I'd put it back up to 15 degrees, so the 14 degrees really didn't make that much difference running it that degree cooler. But 4 centigrade at 3 nights, and then we had 8 centigrade at 4 nights. So what a saving that was. I mean, 8 centigrade at night was really good, and we got to 12 centigrade during the day, so that really smashed the costs big time. It come right down to about £4. So carrying on into March, we crept back up again, but we was into like -1 degree and 7 through the day, and a little bit better, but not too much. We got nearly £6 and still at 15, but we got +3 and +8, so just that little bit better into March. And it carries on the next 2 weeks, it carries on getting better. We had kept the pond at 15 degrees, and we had +4 and +10, so +4 and +10. And the next week we had 4 to 6, and this is at night, don't forget, and we got to 11 centigrade during the day, so them 2 weeks were quite good. Less than £5 a week, which I think's pretty good. And then we moved into April. Now April was a smashing start to April. We had +8 centigrade for 4 nights, and it did get down to 3 centigrade for 3 nights, 3 of the nights, but then we had 4 days at 20 centigrade. Now 4 days at 20 centigrade, this is where it charges the pond up a bit through the day, puts a bit of heat into the pond. And then we had 3 days at about 8 centigrade, which isn't too bad at all, hence £2.68 for that week, first week in April. But then the nights started to drop off a bit, 15 centigrade still. We was down to freezing at night, but getting to 10 during the day, so the heater didn't really have to work too hard during the day. But then on the 19th week, on the 16th of April, we started to get temperatures of -3, but 13 during the day. So there again, it was working through the night, but the temperature, the ambient temperature, wasn't knocking the temperature out of the pond so bad. It was at 13, so it's only 2 degrees lower than what I'd got it running at. And then the last week of April, 310. It was down to freezing, but look at that daytime temperature. With the ambient temperature at 16, it's not going to drop at all during the day. The heater's not going to kick in at all, hence the £3.10. So that was it. That was the chart. And if we look here from December, January, February, March and April, the total winter costs was 146.81. Now I thought we'd be coming out of winter then and be getting some decent weather, but unfortunately this is England and it doesn't work like that. So I've added it last week on down the bottom here. Now bear in mind these readings are when I've taken my covers off, so I've got no pond covers at this point. So the first week, which is last week, £6.27, still holding 15, but down to freezing at night, but 11 during the day, so not too bad. The heater's not going to run too much with it being ambient temperature of 11 during the day. So it was only £6.27, so I don't mind that. But I did want to get my pond covers off. I wanted the koi to get some natural light and tried to get them started on their summer. Don't forget their pond's at 15 degrees. So they're going to enjoy a bit of daylight and seeing a bit of sunshine. But there you go. So you could add another £6.27 to that. I haven't done this week yet. But you could add another £6.27 to that. So if you set around the £150 mark for my winter running costs, we wouldn't be far out. And to be quite honest, I'm quite pleased with that. £146 for heating the pond for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, half a year nearly. So £150, I'll settle for that. I think that's really good. But there you go guys, that's just my breakdown of heating my pond through this winter. Great little heat pump, I really love it. Good bit of kit.